I welcome everybody. I'm here today with a very special guest, originally from the UK, London, but currently residing in Bali. And we've had a very long time connection, and she's been focused mainly with healing frequencies and has created a lot of original content as well. And currently, I'm on a journey interviewing lots of people around the world about frequencies. And Eeshira Hart is actually, to me, like the specialist on this topic. Eeshira Hart is the founder of Sonic Life Solutions. She's a sound healing practitioner, a frequency medicine specialist, singer, trauma release, breath coach, and body worker since 1991. She's also a visionary speaker and a vocal coach with over 24 years in the sound healing world, sharing the many benefits of sound and detox as two of the ultimate biohacks of our time. She's passionate about empowering clients to become their own healers using the power of scientifically researched frequencies and those based on the laws of nature and the universe, combined with the breath, the voice, movement, body wisdom, light, sacred geometry, and healing intention to access deeper levels of embodiment, sexual empowerment, and awakening of the divine I am within. This medicine of the future is now. Yes, that's a real special honor because we go way back to the early 2000s, and I thought it would be really nice for you to start telling people how we met and what brought you to Australia, and how we had a common friend. If we want to talk about, say, Jason O'Hara. Yes.
Yeah, Jane, thank you so much. I really appreciate your kind invitation to share my passion for working with sound and healing with sound.
Yes.
And yeah, it was really amazing. So, Jason is my ex partner, and we were dating between 2002 and 2004. And he had had the number 24 in his life for the longest time. And he didn't really get, yeah, and then he basically created this book called Numbers of Light.
Yes.
And this subsequently was renamed to Blueprint of Creation. So here is a disclaimer.
Yep.
So this is the book that was published by Jason. And basically what happened was I was sitting with him. He found you, Jane, online.
Yes.
And it was so exciting for me because he was looking up 24 all over the place, and he suddenly found something called the prime number cross, which many people may not know about. And it's based on the language of 24. And it was an image that you actually had posted on your old website.
Yes.
And he called me over. He said, "Come on, let's have some tea. I'm sure, there's something really powerful in here." And we were sitting there looking at this. And because I already knew about numeric reduction with gematria, because that's, the study of numbers with sacred geometry and reducing numbers to a single digit, I started looking at the prime number cross and looking at the codes. And pretty soon then saw, if you can see the next slide, you've got series of ones all the way round to 24. Can everyone see my cursor moving?
Yep.
Yep, great. And through the process of numeric reduction, if you add the 2 and the 5 together, and you add the 4 and the 9 together, you get a 7. Then you get a 4 and a 9, which is a 13, and a 1 and a 3 makes a 4. And so you continue going round like that. And I suddenly got this really strong intuitive hit, and I said, I'm sure the frequencies, because already I'd been working with the frequencies since 2001, and this was about 2006 or 2005 when he first published that book. And I suddenly got this feeling that the frequencies would be in there, and then pretty soon, within about 5 minutes, I just suddenly looked at this image and worked out the numbers, and there it was. And if anyone's watched the movie Contact, if you haven't seen it with Jodie Foster, that was in '97. It talks all about primes. And we may think that primes aren't particularly important, but they actually make up the mass of the whole universe. And I'm sure Jane would agree with that.
Yes, they're the atoms of creation. Yes. And
Yeah,
people like Jason, your friend, and me and others have spent their whole life trying to crack this code. We're looking for symmetry and harmonics and um so these number codes, the way I met Jason or he met me was actually through another 24 code on the Fibonacci sequence. So I didn't discover a pattern in the prime numbers, but he had found research that I had done on the 24 code in the Fibonacci sequence. So the fact that prime numbers again repeated another 24 code got his interest. So we've been going down this rabbit hole about 24, and this is what led to the triplets and frequencies and vibrational healing. So keep going. Yeah.
yeah. So you can look at more into this if you want to check out vortex-based mathematics. That's Marco Rodin's work. He does free energy devices with the Rodin coil. And so when we look at prime numbers, we're actually looking at atomic, molecular, so from the micro all the way out to the macro, planetary and galactic structures. Alexander Putney was talking about that on his website, Human Resonance. But if we're looking at the numeric reduction of the digits around the prime number cross, we can start to see, and this is a condensed version, this is taking it a step further, we can see we've got 174, 285, 396,
Yes.
417, 528. And here I have 174 and 285. And these are two of the 18 Zobet frequencies. And these numbers are appearing radially around the cross.
Right.
And so around the cross, you get 9 out of the 18. And this is taken directly from his book.
So when you said Zobet, for those people who don't know what a Zobet frequency is, can you distinguish what's the difference between the 18 Solfeggio triplets that we just saw around the cross, but what's so special about it's on this slide here, the Zobet, yeah.
Yeah. So the Zobet, if we look at the word, Zo comes from the ancient word for Zoroastrianism, or Zo meaning God.
Yes.
And Bay comes from, or Bait, also from the word alphabet, comes from the word Beit Lehem, which is Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus. So Beit means house, Zo means God. And this was received by Judy Lynne Cole, House of God.
Yes.
And so if you look online and you look up Solfeggio, you'll see 6 or you'll see 9 Solfeggio. But actually, there are 18. And this was, if you look at, there was originally a book that was published called Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse. And that was published with Joseph Palaio. And let me just skip to this slide. This is my beautiful mentor and friend, Randy Masters. And basically, he went up to visit Joseph Palaio after that book came out, and he gave him the rest of the download. Joseph Palaio was receiving these codes literally onto the dash of his car, and Randy went up to visit him for 5 days, and he gave him the rest of it. If anyone knows about Randy's work, he's an incredibly high-level musician, very into the codes of the pyramids. He's decoded all of the different number codes from the pyramids. And he basically gave Joseph Palaio the rest of the number codes. And that's how, we got onto Zobet and realizing that there weren't just 6 or 9, there's actually 18. And a lot of people don't realize that there are 18.
I did 3 trips to America around 2004, 2005, and I got to meet Randy Masters, spent a day with him in Santa Cruz, and he's like a brother. And I think he was the main mathematician for Cryon. I'd studied a lot of Cryon's channeled work, and they did a lot. Lee Carroll did a lot of work with Star Kids and the Indigo Kids and all that stuff. But the mathematics that was in some of this content blew me out, and that connected me to Randy. Yeah, so he taught me a lot about frequencies and resonance. So my connection with Randy was sacred geometry, and sacred mathematics. So you can see here I've got a big dodecahedron, and these are all the references to the number 111 Hertz. Yeah, so there's you'll see here there's a magic square, for example. And if you looked at the numbers of a magic square, let me just check. These 36 numbers here, if you just looked at, they all sum to 111. So the key to the main in purpose about 111 Hertz is that it's a connection to the sun. It's a solar glyph. So all the columns and rows add up to 111, the diagonals. Yeah, so it's a very, and the pattern, when we connect all the numbers from 1 to 2 to 3, it often makes a swastika pattern, which is another solar symbol. Yeah, so there's so much information on 111 in this thing, which I won't go into now. But that's my connection with Randy. Him and I love sacred mathematics because everyone's into sacred geometry. I just want to show this diagram a bit better. Eeshira had this up, but this is how Jason O'Hara and Eeshira and I met. So I'd been working with the Fibonacci sequence and found a 24 pattern, but Eeshira and Jason started working with these numbers it's a ring of 24. And then when we go to 25, we do another ring of 24. Then we go from 48 to another ring of 24 to 72. And we started examining the digital reduction of all these numbers. So 125 and 49, that's where all the squared numbers are. That would reduce down to 1, 7, and 4. So 174 would be one of these Solfeggio patterns. The one that Eeshira was talking about was 528. So the 528 would come from this row here, which is 2, 8, 5, when you get 258, you're allowed to rearrange them like anagrams. So this line here, 285, can be rearranged to 528, which Eeshira would say is the love frequency or DNA repair. So there's so much encoded information in this wheel of 24.
Yeah, 528 is the fifth digit around. So where you had the 5, 2, and 9, it was the fifth digit around. Yeah, exactly.
So these the main ones. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are these the main triplets? But are you saying that there's 18? You said that Judy Lynne Cole said there's 18 Zobet frequencies. Is that right? Or because we've only got 9?
Well, that's also what Randy said. So Randy had the download just around the same time as the book came out in 97. And then Judy, it was really fascinating actually. She was hanging out with a couple of friends, and she started getting this download of codes inside her head. It was like, oh, and then she spoke to a couple of friends who were quite psychic as well. And she said to them, are you getting any number codes? And they said, yes. So they all went off into separate rooms and they wrote down these codes without talking to each other about anything, any detail on what was happening.
Right.
And then they all came back together after about, I don't know, half an hour or so. And then they compared notes and they were all the same codes.
Right.
So yeah, Judy received them in 2001 and she was also guided to contact Randy Masters, which was so beautiful because God was guiding her to do that. And that's how they got connected. And I had already got connected to Randy by that point because I'd done a workshop with him. And then through Randy, I got connected to Judy.
Right. And just to explain what's so special about the Zobet is that it relates to pairs. So if you look at 396 and 417, we call it Hertz, which is cycles per second. But the difference, if you subtract 396 from 417, you get 111. The difference here is if we look at 417 and subtract that from the next triplet called 528, the difference is 111. So not all of them have a difference of 111. But so what's so special about pairing them together? Like if you're working with someone, are you playing both triplets, the 417 and the 528, because the difference is 111 Hertz? Or how do you apply them with your tuning forks?
Yes, so I will give them as a pair. So for example, this is 471 and 582, so it's the next pair up from that. So this is 471 and 582.
Right.
And between them is 111. So a lot of people online are giving them separate as frequencies, right? Or they may be only showing 6 or 9, but the full 18, giving them as a binaural is where the magic is.
Wow.
because once you know about 111 and then you know all the healing benefits of it, and what you can do is you can play them to the ears.
Mm.
And one of the effects of 111 is it rebalances the hemispheres of the brain. It causes a temporary shift into the right hemisphere. This is research coming out of UCLA in 2008, Dr. Ian Cook.
Yes.
And most of us, if you think about us in the Western world, most of us are left brain, but often we're not in the right brain. And we need the intuition, we need that problem solving, we need the big picture capability of the right side of the hemispheres, the right side of the brain. So it's important to have both sides of the brain working. And when we are working with, the first modality I created using these thoughts was actually through the energy field. And because you're working with two frequencies together, plus the difference of 111, you've got extra power there to reset the biofield, to clear out energy blockages, to rebalance the energy centers, to rebalance the whole body. And what people may not know is physical disease actually starts in the energy field. So if we use sound through the biofield, it can actually start, it can actually clear disease, clear dissonance, clear disharmony before physical disease actually starts in the body.
Because number one, like if you're a numerologist and the symbolism of 111 hertz is that we take the number one, and one can represent the self, independence,
Yes,
sovereignty, power, a bit like
unity.
the ace, like in the deck of cards would be the ace. So when you get four aces or three aces, it's very powerful. So when these numbers repeat, like 1 1, we get 11 11, say, or triple one.
Yes,
These are master numbers, so we can have 2 2 2 and 3 3 3. And
exactly.
we're at a point where everyone's describing the meaning of these. They're called repeating digits or rep digits. But 1 1 1 to me would be the most powerful because it's informing the cells of our body, because crystals talk to our cells. So when we're working with 1 1 1, I believe there's a direct communication from this knowledge into our cells. And that's another thing we could probably get into. Can I just show one image about water? We're talking about crystals.
Yeah. And I'm
Um,
sure people can relate to that because maybe people have seen it on their phone or they've seen it on a license plate, they've seen 111 flash up, or they've seen 528 flash up on their phone, or on a receipt, at the shop, or the gate at an airport. It's really quite amazing. I had a friend of mine and she really wanted to get a 111 hertz tuning fork from me. So I said, great. She bought the tuning fork and she was staying in Bali. And she said, oh, they've moved me at the hotel. They've moved me into another room. And
yeah,
she said, you won't guess what room they've moved me to. They'd moved her to 111. It was
really.
so beautiful. Just after she purchased the fork from me. It was a great synchronicity.
When we look at the bond angle of water, if this is oxygen up here, these two arms here on the five-pointed star, the pentagon, is the hydrogen, and that angle, these two sides here act like a hinge. So the traditional angle for water, actually, I've got it here actually. So the traditional angle for water is 104.5. So I'll stop share here and I'll just show. So this is the image here. Imagine that's oxygen. So because water is H2O. And traditionally at school, we learned that the bond angle for water down here is 104.5 degrees. But what happens is that when water is purified, like in a spring water or up in the mountains, it resonates to nature and it has a superstructure. And that these two hydrogen can open up like that from 104.5 to 108. And that 108-degree angle is water at its most superstructure, most potent. And that becomes
Wow.
like a frequency. So this is why the five-pointed star is important, because the pentagon is the shape of every protein in our body, and it's part of the genetic, the signature of DNA. When we look at the double spiral of DNA, I think I've got an image of DNA here. It's based on pentagons and hexagons.
And diagonal and hexagonal, yeah, and it's also got the golden mean in there.
Yeah, that's right, because it's in the five. So
And do
where
you remember? Do you remember that you were always talking to me about 108?
yeah, so this is the DNA, the time it takes for one atom in the DNA to turn and go back to where it was is
Upside the other way up, I think.
oh yeah, this way, sorry. Yeah, very good. So the time it takes for one molecule here of one atom in DNA to come to do a full turn on the helix is in the ratio of 21 to 34. So that's the golden ratio. That's kind of like when you look at pine cones.
Oh yes.
Pine cones, you've got 8 spirals going one way and 13 going the other way. So pine code is 813. It's a Fibonacci sequence, but DNA is like the sunflower 2134. So this golden ratio is in the pent. So that information's in water. So when we and that's why it's so important that we drink pure water and good food, because it's changing our DNA and how we connect to the microcosm and the macrocosm as well.
Yeah, it's so important. Do you remember when you were talking to me about 108? And I then suddenly realized, working with the difference tone of 111, that binaural,
Yeah.
that two of the other binaurals in the solfeggio or in the zobe are actually 27 and 54.
Ah, yes, yes.
And then I you said, oh, you've got to create an audio.
Just
This is where I then created this as an audio. I created this was a subsequent audio to the Unity codes, which was the 18 Zobet frequencies. But
yes,
this is working with the 27 and the 54.
yeah.
And you gave me all this really beautiful background info about the sacred number code of 108 being 108 beads in the mala, the first 24 Fibonacci add up to 108, 108 names of God, 54 jaguar heads, etc.
And that
And
starts from the number 27. When you double 27 is like three cubed. It's like the Rubik's Cube. But when you double 27, you get 54. Double 54, you get 108, 216, four, and you even get the 432. So all these sacred ratios are seeded by the number 27. So you're actually applying this knowledge in your sonic work.
yeah, and you tried out the audio, and you said you had the longest sleep,
Mhm.
and you looked at the time. The next morning, you'd overslept by 3 hours.
Yeah, which
You
is
felt there was a
unusual.
definite change in your sleep pattern.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that I needed that.
Yeah, having more dreams.
Yeah, so people can play these while they're sleeping. Your gamma codes, is that a have them on during the night?
The gamma codes is actually an advanced audio. I
Right.
would suggest that for people when they're starting out with the frequencies, that they actually start off with the Unity codes,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
that's the first 18. Your body goes through an entrainment process with that. So it's really good to listen to this audio for at least a month
Right.
before you really advance onto the gamma codes. That's really, it's where Tibetan monks, when they're in that heightened state of meditation
Right.
and trance, that they access the gamma brainwave state. So it's really good to build up to that. So this is the first audio that was created using the 18 Zobe forks with the difference of 111. And you've also got the
Okay.
111 running underneath as a fundamental, as a base, if you like.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's good for them to start with that. And yeah, I created a modality where I'm giving the tuning forks through the energy field, giving it in pairs. So you can see here, I'm giving them one frequency. So we start with the 147 and then a 258 to the other ear, giving that difference of 111.
Right.
And that creates 12 pairs, 18 frequencies.
Right.
And primes, you also talk about that in these two books. Remember, the
Yes.
Art of Number and the Book of Phi. You've got those references to primes. And I basically, yeah, if people are interested, like I got on my path with sound because I was asking a question to the universe and saying, oh, universe, I get that sounds powerful. Maybe you can send me information about, is there one frequency or a series of frequencies we can give to the body?
Yep.
And I didn't really know about, we all know about pi, we were taught that in school.
Yeah.
but I didn't really know what phi was. And I started receiving a dream in response to my question. And the dream showed me the awakening of humanity. And it showed that in the twinkling of an eye, it was shifting, and it was actually through the power of the voice, through the power of 528, that we shifted out of the fear paradigm, being externally controlled, dominated in a fear place, into a place of love.
Yeah.
And that the key to awakening to our full potential and into that love space, into that divinity, was actually through the Solfeggio. And I was told that the Akashic records had it written that it was all about Ra. And I'm like, well, okay, Ra. I'm thinking Egyptian sun god. I didn't really know much at that time.
That's how you
And
became Ishira. Ishira.
that's right.
Yeah,
And I didn't even make the connection to my name.
right.
But
So
I,
is 528 Hertz then about breaking down old structures so that we can move towards a better future and healing? So does it break down old structures in a sense?
well, it's a really great question. 528, if we look at Bonnie Gaunt's work, she's a master of gematria or gematria, looking into number codes in the Bible. And in the Bible, 528 is the code for the key. And she regarded the key as the key to the house of David. What's the house of David? Well, Jesus was from the house of David. So Christ consciousness, that ability to access the kingdom of heaven within, and that comes through the heart. And it was really fascinating because I contacted her before she passed. She's a lovely Christian lady in the States, and she kindly gave me permission to work with her research and to share it. She said, as long as you're using it for healing, I'm fine with that. And she didn't know anything about Solfeggio, which was really fascinating for me. And so, yeah, 528.
Could
I
we say
definitely,
that she was one of the first authors or researchers to talk about the meaning, the deeper meaning of 528, even though it was through gematria? Is that
yeah, and yeah, there were a couple of other codes that have 528. One of them is the dawn, and the
yeah,
other one is the breaking forth of light, which is connected to Genesis.
yes,
So it's the breaking forth of light. So, a lot of people talk about in the beginning was the word, but the correct translation of that part of the Bible in Aramaic is actually in the beginning was the light, the one light, which is actually the logos, which you talk about, don't you?
I wrote it out here. Can I read it out? You
Oh
sent it to
yeah,
me the other day. According to the Gospel of St. John, in the beginning was the light or the Logos, and the one light was with God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were created by God, and without God was not anything created that was created. In her was life, and the life was the light of men. Oh, I love that so much because it honors the divine
I
feminine,
love
the
that
womb,
too.
the cosmic womb as the creator, and then men spawned forth. I love that. It's a blessing. So yeah,
Yeah, it's so special. And so I was recording this album. I went on to have an album photo shoot, and I had all these lights. Like if you look at the previous slide, you can see bottom right, I had these three orbs of light in front of me, and then here I had this symbol by my feet,
yeah,
and I didn't really know what that was. And actually, subsequently, I then met Randy Masters, and he's talking about pi and phi in a sound healing workshop. And I'm like really confused. I'm like, why are you talking about mathematics? I'm here for sound,
yeah,
you know? And then he says, oh, he showed this phi symbol, and I'm suddenly going, oh, that appeared in light at my feet. What is that? And he said, oh, it's Ra maths. And then I'm suddenly going, oh my goodness, this was from the dream. It was all about the awakening of humanity through the power of Ra. And then I realized this was in response to a question I'd been asking the divine. Is there one frequency or is there a series of frequencies we can give to humanity, give to ourselves to reset us, reboot us, heal us, taking the maths, the geometry of creation, converting it into sound and giving it back to the body as a healing tool.
yes,
And then he said, oh yeah, and he pointed to these 18 tuning forks on the table.
right.
And that began my path. I was so amazed and grateful. And that he's been my guiding light ever since. So it's wonderful that you're interviewing him next week.
Yeah, and all this mathematics. Can I show an image of the flower of life? All this
Yes.
sacred mathematics is in the Vesica Pisces. It's when two circles come together.
Stop screen share.
Um, when two circles come together, it's like the number eight, because I think Judy Lynne Cole also had a vision of 888, the gematria of 888 as the name of Christ. But these two circles, which is in the flower of life or the seed of life, if you draw a line from this point through the center to the other one, it's all the ratio of this to that is 1.618. So just by drawing the flower of life, like when we draw this image, it's all golden ratio. And this is what's called
Yeah.
the mother of all form, because this is the womb of creation, the blueprint. And it's all golden ratio 1.618, because there's a lot of hype going on that this essentially it's a hexagon like beehive.
Mm.
It's kind of embraces the five and the six, the pentahexa geometry of DNA, because a lot of people at the moment are saying that hex is evil and it's the daisy of death and everything. But that's because people, trolls are paid to discredit the sanctity of this knowledge. So people like Randy Masters, who I'm going to talk to next week, they've had epiphanies. They've seen the direct knowledge that's encoded in just by drawing the flower of life. And that's been my mission, is to get children with a compass and start drawing circles, which is the
Yes.
symbol of the infinity. So that figure eight is like an infinity symbol. So even though we're talking about 111, I just wanted to say that
Oh,
in
yes.
in harmonic mathematics, we're allowed to slide the decimal. So 111.0, you can slide the decimal to the left to make it 11.1 or 1.1, or you can even make it bigger. And harmonic maths is not talked about. That's the sort of one of my missions in life, is to get children and adults to learn about the cosmic maths, because when you slide that decimal, you can go into the micro and the macro. So
Yeah, and you've got a lovely video sharing about 111 and the connection to 1111. Like there's a whole connection to that.
yeah, and this image here I'm showing is actually the true value of pi. It's called 3.144. So when you realize that pi, that the frequency of pi, which is the relationship of the diameter of a circle to its circumference, it's not 3.141, it's actually 3.144. And and that's another whole thing. But Randy and I understand that when you study the harmonics of the circle, it must be based on the golden ratio, because when we look at a triangle, a square, and a pentagon, it's all based on the golden ratio, the mathematics of nature.
I
Um,
love that image as well because if you look under the microscope at the
yeah,
vitamin C molecule, it actually
yeah.
has a prime number cross in it. Have you
Uh,
seen that image?
yes,
It's great.
yes, I do. I have seen that. And another thing, even when we start studying, say, the mathematics of the pyramid, there's a thing called the mystical squaring of the circle. So the circle is about pi, but the pyramid is all about the golden ratio phi. So this is the pi phi relationship, but the essential diagonals of the square that is the basis of this geometry is based on the harmonic of 1.111. That's why I was saying when we slide the decimal, we can say that 1.1 is connected to the harmonics of 111. So this is more advanced work, but it's just letting you know that the mathematics is validating all the sonic research that you're doing. For example, you introduced me to the idea of the sum of the sound
Hypogeum.
chambers, the hypogeum, and you were teaching me that it emitted a frequency of 111 hertz. So this is a whole subject on what we call archeo-acoustics.
Yes.
So have you been to this place?
So I have really wanted to go. They have apparently been shutting down that chamber and not allowing people in,
Oh
which is
no.
very interesting. I love that they talk about killing cancer cells. Yeah, it's a multiple of 111, not 111 itself, but of course that's a fundamental. And if you start looking at atomic structure, you've
Yeah.
got 888 atomic structure of oxygen, 777 is nitrogen, 666 is carbon. But then you've also got, you can go to Ireland and look at Newgrange, and that's all aligned with the sunrise of the winter solstice. And yeah, the standing wave is between 110 and 112, so the average of that is 111 hertz.
So can
And
you say that the 111 hertz is the holy frequency. In all your research, can you summarize all of this and say this relates to a
I
very
love that you say that. That is that from your presentation?
yeah, that's one of my PowerPoints, but I'm
Yeah,
yeah,
because if I had to sum up what 111 is doing, it's taking us to God. You
yeah,
know, it's taking, like, if we look at the human condition of what is the effect of our lives today, and
mm,
I'd love to share about the benefits in a little minute,
yeah,
in a moment, about, you know, how these frequencies can help. If we look at our lives today and how our stress, how our imbalance, how our disconnection from nature, how our sickness and the use of devices and Wi-Fi and all of that
yeah,
creates a place of contraction in the body, tension, poor energy flow, limited mobility, and stress, and, you know, bad sleep and all that kind of thing. But if we go the opposite direction, 111 is really about encouraging expansion, openness, opening the energy flow, and ultimately attuning to the divine,
yeah.
attuning to the earth, and attuning to the whole universe. You
So,
know,
yeah. So in
so
this image, we've got the human ear. So when you're with your patients and you're sending them 111 hertz, it's going in through the ear. But as that frequency travels into the middle ear and the inner ear, we've got more golden ratio chambers and spirals and actually crystals inside the ear. We've got micro crystals that look like pencils, like thousands and thousands of vertical pencils. So when someone's dizzy, it's because their crystalline pencils are off skew. So here we've got crystals, but I think what this image is saying is that the structure of the ear is very similar to the layout of the hypogeum. That's what blew me out. That
wow,
I
I
didn't
didn't
realize
realize
that
that.
till I studied it further. So thanks for introducing me to the hypogeum. It's a place I really want to go to. But if you wanted
Let's
to share
go.
your
Let's
story,
go. I really want to go.
yeah. I went to India just quickly. I went to India. I got invited to teach Jain mathematics at a conference in Delhi, which blew me out. It was just before COVID. And so I stayed with all these in a temple for 2 weeks, and they have 108. They have a mala like this has got 108 beads. There's 108 beads here, but notice here there's three extra beads. So the 108, and there's a symbolic meaning for these three. So 108 plus the three, they wear 111 crystalline or wooden beads.
Wow,
And
I
that
didn't know that.
well, I didn't know that either till I was there. That just kind of amazed me that and but the thing is that when you start studying this frequency, you start seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
I
Kathy
see it, you know,
Friedman.
almost every day of the week, on license plates, on the till receipts, you know, on the clock on my phone. Yeah, and it helps me feel reassured that, you know, I'm on target, I'm on my path, it's moving forward. Yeah, great. So I feel like this is probably a great moment to share why 111 hertz is a master frequency, and how the Zobet, which some people know as the Solfeggio, that's the 6 or 9, but the Zobet is the full 18,
Yep.
how they can actually heal and awaken us. To answer that question, let's just first look at humanity's issues. We have many challenges in our life today. We are stressed out, we're up in our heads, maybe we're drinking a lot of coffee, smoking, we've got muscle tension, back pain, we are at our computers, we're on our phones, we're maybe not outside in nature, not really exercising as much. We've got heel shoes if you're a girl, which obviously changes our connection with the earth. Wi-Fi and devices, this all affects the delicate bioelectrics of the body and the capacity to be in tune with our body and then in tune with the earth. And maybe we're not eating the best food, you know, so all of these are challenging. So let's line up, you know, the different challenges. Being up in our heads, that then results in being not in our bodies. But actually, what can 111 hertz do and the Solfeggio can do? They actually can help us get in the body and help us unify, shifting out of that state of just being in the mind. Because it's like, you know, looking at the hemispheres of the brain, we need both active, and we need to have that mind body, brain body connection to be fully in tune with our surroundings and with ourselves and with each other.
Yeah.
And for, as I mentioned previously, we're often too in our left brain, too logical, and that may result in a poor mental focus as well, poor memory. But actually, Dr. Ian Cook's research from UCLA in 2008 has shown it causes a temporary shift, 111, into the right hemisphere. So this enhances intuition, which is so important right now, the ability to see the big picture and certainly navigate these changing times.
Right.
Then of course we have emotional stress, depression. A lot of people are really going through it since COVID, and anxiety. Well, 111 and Solfeggio is great for deep relaxation. Actually, due to the beta endorphins from 111, it can uplift our mood and so good for anxiety. This is the work from Peter Guy Manners and also Dr. Bob Beck, who pioneered the biotuners.
Right.
And another aspect is we're very externally focused, social media, devices, computers, external authority. But actually, Princeton University has shown that this effect of the sound on the body produces a deeper internal focus. So when we're more internally focused, we can actually get that guidance from within, access our own inner authority, our own personal sovereignty, our own bodily autonomy. And so we can be guided from that place, which is so important at this time. We can also be out of tune, as I previously talked about, using technology. So we're out of tune with our body, what it needs, when we need to drink water, what food we need to drink. And as a result, we're out of tune with the earth, which is our earth, so linked those two. But actually, because of the numbers, with your work, Jane, and the Fibonacci, and as you know, the combination of the language of the 24 with the primes, this is starting to attune us with the language of Fibonacci and our own inner sacred geometry and the earth. So it's like giving a sonic version of the universe through sound into the body as a way of resetting our, all of our mathematics, which may be out of tune. And we have, done so many different things which are challenging our body. This helps us come back into balance.
Right.
Another issue is tiredness, low energy, and not sleeping well. Well, actually, once we start to clear out that dissonance, that disharmony, we can start to energize as we make room for new energy to come in. And 528 is very good for that. It's very good for bringing in fresh energy. And that can also treat insomnia. 1914, they've been using it in Russia for insomnia since 1914. Which is great, and it's amazing for that. Another thing, low self-love. People aren't getting into self-care, or they're starting to, or perhaps they feel, poor self-worth, low self-esteem. But actually 111 is so good for activating empathy for self, empathy for others, compassion for self, compassion for others. And this all can also stimulate positive change and enhance overall well-being. Another issue that we have is poor sick Sam, or good morning. He's not really doing very well, is he? Suppressed emotions, suppressed trauma, energy blocks. Maybe we haven't had the time to process that trauma. We parked it in the energy field. It's sitting there, but we're not ready to feel it, and we don't feel safe. And so that energy flow is not happening, and that creates energy blocks. Well, 111 and also other frequencies in the Solfeggio are amazing for an emotional release because they start to vibrate, especially targeting the frequencies or the energies of fear, guilt, shame, and to also start to ground us into the body out of the mind.
Yes.
And so this is really good for emotional release, great for clearing trauma, and also really good for clearing the biofields. So that's the energy field, the aura around the body. Physical pain, that's another thing that we all suffer from different times, back pain, headaches, this kind of thing. And also drug addiction. There's a lot of challenges with the opioid crisis, but Dr. Meg Patterson, she pioneered a therapy using 111 Hertz. And the reason why it was so good for drug therapy, Pete Townsend from the band The Who in 1983 got off heroin using 111 Hertz.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And there's Eric Clapton, Boy George, Keith Richards, all of these guys. She became known as the doctor of the rock and roll doctor, over time. And so it's stimulating beta endorphins. It means you can safely withdraw from the drug without any withdrawals. And it resets the beta endorphins in the body in record time.
So sound must be the medicine for the future.
I love that quote that Edgar Casey talks about. Sound will be the medicine of the future. And I add on a tagline. And the future is now, because I definitely believe, more and more people are getting switched onto it.
Anything up about how people can contact you? Like if people want to know more about the tuning forks with the 111 Hertz or Solfeggio or Zobet Frequencies, what's the best way for people to go onto your website and I know you've got so much information there.
Yeah, well, they can simply go to my website, which is eeshirahart.net. And I've got courses, I've got audios, I've got different ebooks, different presentations sharing about the frequencies, so people can use them for themselves. And it's like having your own personal sound healing practitioner available anytime you want.
It's lovely. Well, it just all your amazing knowledge on 111 Hertz is
You have stopped screen share.
So all your amazing information on 111 Hertz basically tells me that this frequency is so encoded with the life force information that it's not just for healing, it's for understanding the fabric of time and space and everything. It's permeates many fields.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the most beautiful ways we can use the language of math, like all of your work, the sacred geometry of the body, and take those codes and give them back to the body through sound. And it's like the universe speaking inside us and saying, come back to balance, come back to harmony, come back to open, energy flow. And from that place, we can fully expand and open to God and open, and awaken, which I find it is a really exciting thing. That's why I'm dedicated to sharing this work.
I just want to close on one image. We there was one powerful image based on Ben Jansen. Can you tell us a little bit about, just to close on this image, because it's about the structure of water, the 12 nodes, and does this actually relate to the frequency of 111 Hertz by Ben Jansen?
So, this is courtesy of Cymatic Gateway, and Ben has used a different setting on his Cymatics device. And here you can see in the center, if you count the nodes or the antinodes, you've got 12. And this keys into, if you look at the Vedic Mass, which is your work, Magic Square of the Sun, you've got 36 cubes, 36 squares, 6 lines of 6. And that keys into the, so 36 divided by 3 produces 12. So this is how that's speaking. But if we look at John Stuart Reed's Cymatics image, that actually has that one, you just scroll past it, past it, further up. Yeah, but this one here, Cymoscope. If we look at that, that's an image from one of my PowerPoints. And, this is using the Cymoscope. And if you count the antinodes here, you've got 10.
Right.
And this is really exciting because John and I presented at the Archeo-acoustics conference in 2015. And he gave me a video of the Cymoscope with 111 Hertz. And then he messaged me and he said, oh, actually, I need to give you an updated version. And he said, this is so exciting because it shows that it keys into the DNA. And if anyone's interested, we would love to share part 2 with this, because
that's the 12 and the 10, the cross section of DNA revealed by Cymatics is 10-sided decagon, which is all golden ratio. So obviously we've got a lot of information. So if we were to do a part 2, what kind of topics could we talk about, like with biogeometry, Ibrahim, Karim? There's so many other speakers that we could talk about, or topics. Any ideas on what topics we could continue with for those that would want more?
I would love to hear in the comments below who what people are interested in, so
Yeah.
that we can serve you with that. There are many, many different topics. We can talk about how it relates to the Holy Grail. I did an amazing DVD on that, and I wasn't looking for that information, and that was research which has completely blown me away.
That's a big thing. We've also got Dr. Robert Langridge, who's did the research on 111 Hertz as well. So we could talk about him. But
Yes,
yeah,
yeah, we've got that,
DNA
and
activation codes. Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of different other points. What did we cover in yeah, things to do with the sacred sites? We didn't even really have time to go into Neolithic stuff. I
Yeah.
also had an amazing experience with a shaman in Peru, and
Yep.
he was telling me about the link to ayahuasca, which was really fascinating.
Right.
And yeah, there's research about the new scientist. This is research from a friend of mine. There was an article just before I presented at the 2015 Archeo-acoustics conference at the Istanbul Technical University.
Yes.
There was an article published about a friend of mine who shares 111 Hertz, and he's working with mental health hospital in London, working with very sick mental health patients and getting amazing results with 111. And that was just so beautiful. It was to people who are not going to sit and lie down and do breath work or do yoga, but they might do something else. So that was another juicy thing that we've got. And we've got the link between the gematria of Jesus and the macabre.
Yeah.
So people are into the language of 24 through the macabre. We've got that.
Well, that
There's
looks
also,
like a lot of stuff, and I'm going to close there because we've got so much information. But I just wanted to honor you for your expertise, for your divinity, for your research, and how much you've progressed. I've known you over these so about 20 years now, and it's your work is just so progressed. And thank you for sharing this with me. We'll do it again.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I trust that many people watching, they feel inspired now to bring language of sound into their life, because
Mm,
it's one of the best things we can have as a first aid kit
yeah.
addition into our lives. So yeah, so thank you, Jane. Thank
You're
you for your
welcome.
time.
Thank
Thanks
you
to
so much.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.